friends, welcome back to Amanda's Bookish Adventures, and today is a wrap-up, but it is Bookmas Day 2. Now, for this, there should be 3 to 4 wrap-ups. So this will be me wrapping up the books I read from January to March. So quarterly wrap-ups, but for Bookmas. So I talk about the books that I read during those months, why I've read them. So I'm going to talk about 4 things I've read so far in the month of January, but I'm wearing Christmas candy canes, and I just thought this was a better way for me to do Bookmas, because previous years when I have done Bookmas, when we got to the end of the year to talk about books I read, I couldn't remember half the details. So this, for me, my brain, with how many books I've read, this is the most smartest way for me to do Bookmas, to talk about books I've read throughout the year. So welcome to day 2. Let's get started. So the first book I've read in January, on January 1st, was Suit Armor Volume 1 by Pyrrha. Now, for the beginning of the year, I gave this a 5-star. You guys are a little too close. That might be better. And I loved it. It was cozy, it was fantasy, and I'm gonna read it to you guys. And it was only a couple days ago because it's January 7th, but I'll read you the back and then talk about my thoughts and my feelings. Secrets hide behind every corner of the castle. In this exciting romantic graphic novel that follows lady-in-waiting Lucina. She tries to obscure both her identity and a budding romance. While humans and fairies are at war beyond the castle, Lucina's time at court takes a dazzling turn when she attends a royal tournament that calls together the kingdom's bravest knights. A magically animated suit of armor enters the king's ring, and Lucina is immediately attracted to its mysterious charm, bonded by their mutual status as outcasts. The two begin to develop an unlikely yet thrilling connection, and sparks both metaphorically and magical fly. The truth is, Lucina is hiding a secret. She is an enemy, a fairy. She fears being exposed, but despite desires to learn about herself, especially with the arrival of a wing infiltrator, an enemy fairy arrived besides her arrived in the human court. Compete with the original behind-the-scenes content additional to storyline, exclusives to books. This volume includes episode 1 through 17 of the popular webtoon comic and sets the stage for a grander adventure in the magic, romance, and more. So Lucina is very innocent. She knows she has to hide who she is. She is a handmaiden to the future queen, who has been engaged to the prince since she was a child. They're brought to court for this tourney, and she interacts with people, knights, the king, and comes on this magic suit of armor who fights the highest knight in the land, who's been at the very top, and they fight and the suit wins. The suit has been made by the court mage, the head court mage, and he has a crush on Lucina, so he does anything to impress her. So she seeks him out to know more about suit, to know more about magic, because magic is banned. If you do not have a license to practice magic, you could be executed in this kingdom. So not only is their magic system messed up, you have to have a license, and then even if you get the license, before you can get the license, you need to have a mage to train you. So Lucina's journey, hiding her secret, finding out there's a fairy in court, trying to see one of her kind that she has not seen in a very long time. I don't know, because we only got 1 through 17, if she's ever interacted with fairies. But side characters, and like, I did love Suit, and I loved Lucina, but some of the side characters I was shipping hard. We got a little, like, the epilogue we got with the knight that Suit won against. We had his romance with his partner, and it was cute. I'm excited to see where this is gonna go, because throughout the year other volumes are releasing. I did release volume 2 is releasing so far. I pre-ordered that, so hopefully you'll see me talk about it in another day's Bookmas wrapping up. I loved it. It was the perfect thing and refreshing romantasy to start the year. So I did DNF stuff, but I'm not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what I wrapped up. And you'll see the pictures on the screen, but I hate that. So I could read the descriptions. So the next thing I finished, it is a rollover. I'm Only Here for the Beard by Lainey Lynn Vale. Sean is a man with needs that a lot of women were ready to fulfill and willing to fulfill, yet the only woman that he wants to fulfill them dumped him for a brother in his MC. So Sean has always, I did give this a 4-star. Sean has always had trouble with women issues. His relationship with women from the very early age wasn't very healthy, so he puts himself out there with women, tells them what they want, tries to give them the whole world. So when his ex-girlfriend dumps him because she's in love with another member of the DC Warden's Reject chapter, he's bitter. Here comes along Naomi. She is moving to this town to become an EMT, and she and Sean become partners, but her backstory is kind of similar. She's never been good enough for the people in her life, her mother, her brother, her father, and any person she has loved. She's never been the one, so she's as jaded as him. Go along, she's carrying his secrets. They interact as partners. They develop healthy, cute relationships. It is kind of quick-paced and it is enjoyable. They're stubborn, like, without trying to spoil it. It's a very stubborn, like, these two are very stubborn and set in their ways, and Sean is very bitter about women, but they make each other whole. So I did give it a 4 stars. The only thing it is the DC Warden's Reject series. If you're gonna read any series from Lainey, I'm gonna do this a lot. I'm gonna mess up their names. By Lainey Lynn Vale. The first book in the DC Reject Warden series, because there is the spin-off. This is a spin-off from the DC Wardens. You have to read a book in one of her cop series with the female character named Memphis, because the first book in this series will spoil that book. They're kind of companions. Her whole world, I think on her site she has, if they connect, if not, I'm sure a fan out there has interwoven like which book connects, because I've read a lot of her books. They do connect, and you'll see characters pop up, and I have read some of these out of order. I don't mind getting spoiled because some of these are rereads. This one wasn't, but I did read Memphis' story. So when I started this series, I was like, oh, so it's connected to Memphis, and they just interact a lot. So it is enjoyable for that. So that was a 4-star. Now, other things I have read. So I read The Apothecary Diaries Volume 10 and Volume 11. Volume 10 I gave a 4 stars. Volume 5 I gave 5, or Volume 11 I gave 5 stars. Now Mao Mao was brought to the imperial court, sold into slavery, and is trying to lay low until her contract is up. Jinsei, I think that's how you say his name, she catches his eye because she's so inquisitive. She tried to warn a consult about a certain thing that is making people sick. And because of her herbal knowledge skills, her and Jinsei go on adventures throughout this court and helping courtesans, the emperor, and regular people, and other members outside. I very much enjoy The Apothecary Diaries, but these 2 volumes were a critical point from now we're getting, I feel like, to the next arc in the story. Now we're going to get into deeper of Jinsei's backstory. It has hinted, I've had theories at this point, but now it's kind of been confirmed in my mind. So this is gonna go where the rest of the story is gonna go. We're gonna get down to will they, won't they, more political intrigue, and more drama with the courtesans. So the last thing I've read so far in January, because it's only January 7th, but I thought I would start this. So it's gonna kind of be a long video. I do have to say these, I could break it up, but I don't really want to. I'll try to go as fast as I can. So I read The Lumberjack's Bride. I gave it a 3-star. You will see the name of the author because it's not written down. Brady is a grumpy lumberjack with his only companion, a dog named Bear. He doesn't want to be all alone all his life, so he follows suit and does a mail order bride, but just with practical reasons. Sarah is running from her past and answers the mail order ad. Bear really pushes them together with all his antics, but will they fall in love or keep it practical? So I did give this one a 3-star. It is a novella. I got it for free after last Christmas, and I did really enjoy it, but it was rushed, in my opinion. It was rushed in the way that they meet, she moves into his house. It was like rushed to the point, like, it could have been longer. It could have been a 200 or even 105 page, at least for like why she's running. You got it on a couple page. It's a fast-paced novella, and I did enjoy it. And I will go back. Because this connected a mail order bride series, I might read more, I might not. In my opinion, this should have been bigger, or at least enough 50 pages more to get her backstory in and for it to make sense in my brain. Because of how fast-paced, because it was a really short novella, it had to go fast-paced, and I was like, the whole time I'm like, this is not making sense, and then it jumps to this. It kind of drove me nuts in that bit. I'm like, let's just get on it, and it ended. So I did enjoy it. On Goodreads, it showed a cover that was the wrong cover, so I removed it, but then it shows it on there, and then I went to look for the book, but it says it's not on my shelf, so I clicked want to read. Hopefully it figures itself out. If not, I did read that book. So that is up for the that is it for this first update of this wrap up. I'm sure I'll come back and talk to you more about books I've read in January, February, March, and April. I cannot wait to see how many more 5 stars or 4 stars, 3s. If the book is struggling, because I had a DNF, and I'm gonna DNF. There's too many books in this world, but I need to have at least attempt to DNF at the 150 is my goal. Just so, like, even if the first part sucks, maybe the rest of the books will be better. We'll see. But hopefully I have more books to talk to you about in a little bit, so you'll see me in the next clip. So I'm back with my second update for this wrap up. So my last book in January that I read was Apothecary Diaries Volume 12, and I gave that a 5-star. It started, I feel like we now are going to be so close to the anime source, but we are so, I feel like this next arc in Apothecary Diaries that I said in the previous, this is the second arc. Now I'm looking forward to, hopefully we start developing a romantic relationship with Momo and Gency. I'm looking forward to more stories about her adopted biological father, because he's been brought up depending on which volume and how he interacts with that volume. Now we're in the arc where I want more information on that, more information on the brothels woman who took her in story, because I have hints and people have theories, and I have read those theories, and I'm so excited to get into them. But now we are into February, and it's February 11th right now, and I want to talk about what I have read so far for the month of February. At this point, I'm at 17 books, and not that I've read in this month, but together with the Goodreads goal is 17 books. Success? I don't know, because a lot of it has been manga. But I'm hoping to change that in March, the ending of this portion. But I have so many days in February left. I am hoping to at least get, well, there is going to be another chunk of manga because there is a manga release that I'm excited for, and they only release one volume of it per year in February. So I'm going to read volume 1 to volume 7, which is the new release, and I haven't read volume 6 yet. So you'll see that in this too, but I'm not talking about that. That's not yet. But let's talk about what I have read so far. So some are digital reads. I'm going to go through those first and then talk about some of the manga that's been on my physical TBR. So let me get my little notebook. So I read When the Volume Seduces the Main Heroine. Volume 1, I gave it a 2-star. Volume 2, I gave it a 2-star. And I know I'm not going to continue on. If I did not purchase money for them, like if it was up from Kindle Unlimited, I would have just returned it. But I paid for it, both volumes, so I did have to read them. So when the Crown Prince announces he's breaking off his engagement to the infamous Ayaka, I'm saying these wrong. It's like Ayuka, I think it's Ayuka. He spurned his fiance, wasted no time in turning her seductive words of passion to actual targeting Sai, a commoner who's worked her way up through the ranks with her wit and charm alone, and also is the very girl the prince dumped Ayuka for. Sai is about to get a taste of what a real lover's like in the steamy tale of two girls who traded in their Prince Charming for each other. Now, my biggest thing about this is I was so excited. I thought, it's gonna be like a slow burn. Like, yes, we're gonna start like maybe with the first little 5 pages of her getting dumped, and we might get flashbacks of the relationship, of how it developed, how they turned attracted to each other. No, Ayuka was very turned on, excited by Sai, and she stole her. Pretty much swooped in at the moment he dumped her. It is not what I wanted. I think, more of a build-up. And for me, it just, yes, it was spicy and things like that. There was not a lot of plot. Like, there was story. It wasn't not the very best manga structure to keep me in. And it was sad because it was something I could have kept going with because I love good stories like this. Manga, love the historical, or like in the Tomy game, which there's other mangas that I'm going to mention like this. It was saddening that it wasn't worth the purchase, or I would have DNF'd it. So it's another sad thing, and I fell for my Amazon email because it recommended it to me. So I did, this was a purchase too, but I'm DNFing it, but it's better than speaking about that, I will not be showing the cover when the villainess seduces the heroine. I would get flagged by YouTube if I showed the cover because they're very spicy. So the next manga I read was Sheep Princess in Wolf's Clothing, Volume 1, and I gave it a 3-star. Aoki Ruja, a wolf, works as a butler at the royal castle in the land of Shipa. Her quiet and peaceful days get shaken up when she saves the life of Princess Momo. I'm just going to say Princess Momo. I'm not saying that last name. The shy sheep princess immediately latches onto Aika, who, before she knows it, becomes the princess' private tutor. Momo wants more than just a math lesson from Aiki, and even sneaks into the wolf's woman's bedroom to seduce her. Aiki soon realizes that under the timid woolly exterior, Momo is a wild animal. I feel like it was short, and I'm not going to waste. If I can get it off Libby, I will continue the series, but I'm not going to pay more money into mangas that I did not enjoy. I liked it. That's why I gave it a 3-star. It was enough that I was content with the story ending. If the romance was really quickly, but he's like, no, we can't be together. So Momo likes to try to entrap her and gets these dates. She's always been shy. She's not really interactive with a lot of people. When Aiki saved her, it became a very intense situation to where, oh, I'm clutched on, you're not leaving me, I love you, love you. Very insta-lovey. And it's just, I don't want to continue. Like I said, I would continue if Libby had it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to see if Libby's online library has it from my local libraries. Now, let me turn the page in my notebook. Okay. The next one I read is a Kindle book, Bound to the Naga by Ivy Sparks, and I gave it a 4-star. I did buy it, so I'm glad I read it. And I actually did highly enjoy it. Pawning my grandmother's bracelet was supposed to be temporary, not contractically bind me to a breathtaking Naga. Now I'm working off my debt at Sandra's pawn shop. Trying not to stare at his powerful tale or image all the wicked way, or imagine all the wicked ways he could use, could just pin me down with it. But Sandra isn't just hard to resist, he's impossible to read. One moment he's cold-blooded and controlled. The next, his possessive instincts are wrapping tighter than his coiled tail. I know better than to fall for my boss. But the more time I spend under his golden gaze, the more I wonder what happens when a Naga keeps what's his. So I liked it, even though I can't remember the main character's name and it doesn't mention it. It just mentions Sundar. So I'm blanking on the main character's name, and I read this just a couple days ago and I'm blanking on it. That's why I don't know. So I'm just going to talk about the main character. So the main character is in a financial stretch. She's at dead-end jobs, and her roommate talks her into like, hey, Sundar's pawn shop has been very good to me. Go pawn an item and try to work it off. Well, the instant they meet, they have chemistry, and she kind of offends Sundar a little. And so they make it to the point she has about 30 days with very high interest rates to get back her grandmother's bracelet that has been in her family for so long. She was desperate to make her rent and her bills. She was working in the service industry, other jobs, and she was exhausted. She didn't have even food to eat, basically. So he gives her less value of the bracelet, only 30 days, so she'll come back in, so he can interact with her more. So she starts working in his pawn shop, sees he's very nice to his customers, and she goes through his books and she's like, why is he so nice to them? What did I do? And like, it kicks off like they were very friendly in that short time, and then she basically calls him out on it, and then the relationship goes from there. I highly enjoyed it, even though I can't remember the character's name, and I should have looked at a review and wrote her name down, because I'm so bad with names. Plus, what I should realistically do for these wrap-ups is right when I finish the book is come talk to this vlog, wrap-up vlog. That way I have the character's name in my head. I'll get better at it, I promise, for the other parts. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star. The writing was good. It was really short, around 270. Some of those Kindle monster books are short. A lot of Kindle books are around the 200 range. So it could have been fleshed out more with the plot, but highly entertaining. And it was a good cleansing palette that it made me continue wanting to read, because I feel like I slumped in February. Now, after that, I read I Don't Want to Be a Villainess, so I Became the Doctor's Assistant. Volume 1, I gave a 4-star. Volume 2, I gave a 4-star. I need to stop reading my Amazon recommendations. I really do, because even though I bought it and I was at least I read it right as I bought it, which is a lot better than I have done with previous Kindle books that I don't want to talk about. Let's get on to the description. I quit being a villainess. I was a villainess one day. Layla Vivian woke up and remembered that she was a Japanese person in her previous life. And now, a rival character inside a romance game. In that game, Layla Vivian had been engaged to the Crown Prince, one of the romance options. She didn't bully the heroine, but she was a lucky character who ended up dying in every row except her older brothers. She wanted to avoid dying, so she came up with the idea of avoiding entering the magical academy where the game was set as a student. Layla chooses to enter the academy as a doctor's assistant and try to avoid both the romance options and the heroine. But unfortunately, she interacts with them. We only kind of got the one interaction that I can't even remember his name, the Crown Prince that she's engaged to. I enjoyed it. It was really entertaining, but a lot of these, like where they're reincarnated into the video game mangas, and it's a niche that I will immediately get into. I liked it to the extent, but her older brother, like that was the route she was focused on, like she didn't die in that route. Creepy. But like as she's more into the game, Layla interacts, and they're a bit different. Like the characters, like yes, their interactions, but there's another, like a companion shadow creature that attaches to her and protects her and alters people's memories so she does not die. It doesn't know why she's trying to go through like disguising herself and avoiding so many things, but it protects her, and it was very interesting. It tries to talk to the Crown Prince, like if you like her, like da-da-da, and I'm like, no. We've only been introduced really to like 3 love interests, and the Crown Prince was the main. And he bugged me. I don't know what it is. I did enjoy the writing, and it was set up to a point where it was 4. Like it wasn't like 3 where, okay, it's sluggish, I don't enjoy it, and 2, no. Honestly, at 2, I should DNF, but I'm trying to force myself, I paid for it, to read it, and a good solid 4. There's only 2 volumes out, and I don't know if I would continue on. I don't feel the need to, because I feel like it's going to do what other previous Atomi games that become manga do, like in this type of form where there's not a lot of development and they focus on the main character. Maybe I'm out kind of growing this a little bit, or I read too many back to back at this point. So there is that. Now let's talk about this last digital read, and then I'll show you my physical mangas that I read. But this is a Kindle book that I bought and I read. And I think I bought this in December and I read it in February. That works for me. At least it got read. So it's called Betrothed to the Yeti by Marlon Barr, and I gave it a 4-star. Will Jaya's bitterness unleash the darkness in Pava's soul, or will their love save the village of the corrupt Alpha from self-destruction? Jaya's human colonist on the Ecliptus moon of Saturn is 2780. As the 3rd daughter of a beggar, my prospects at the Alpha's betrothal ceremony ranges from horrific to nightmare-ish. Sometimes I wonder if I should have taken matters into my own hands like my eldest sister Nima. Her fate rests in her baby bump. Where I sleep tonight depends on the mercy of the seer and what the colony leaders voted to do with me. Will I be chained in the brothel, or something more terrifying? Do I dare wish for a life away from Alpha? Papa's and Ecliptus Yeti, deemed of loneliness, summoned the courage to request a companion in the first earthling to land on this snowy wasteland. I didn't write the rest of the synopsis down. So Jaya is bitterness for very good reasons. Her father is a beggar. In Alpha, they are basically set up to fail in this village. That when they have this betrothal ceremony, you can go to other villages. At this point, it's dire that she finds a husband, or she will end up, like her mother, working in the brothel and experiencing such a bad fate. That's why her sister Nima took it in her hands to sleep and get impregnated by one of the most eligible bachelors, Nima. The betrothal ceremony doesn't really kind of go her, like, it went a lot better than expected for her. When she shows up at Poma's place, they butt heads. She is so bitter, and he's trying to break down his walls because on this moon, the Yetis and the other creatures, the Yetis were all together as an alien species. When the humans landed, Poma was so fascinated with them, he basically abandoned the Yeti colonies, basically abandoned him because of his fascination and his will to protect them from the creatures outside that would kill them. So for centuries, he's had seers as friends, and he's interacted with these 3 villages, and he requested a companion. Well, he got a bride, and as he's trying to warm up his bride's heart, it is really difficult because he has a fascination of what he knows from 2 villages and previous experience of human culture. Alpha is a very brutal village, brutal laws, and that are starving. I give it a 4-star. I highly recommend. It is very short. Another Kindle book around 200 pages. So very good. And I think it's one where I probably could have read it on Kindle Unlimited. I didn't have to buy it. It was enjoyable, and I might reread it one day. For now, it was enjoyable. Let's talk about the manga, the 5-star portion of February so far. I finally got caught back up with the Remarried Empress, to the latest volume that I'll probably haul in a video. So we read Remarried Empress Volume 6, gave it a 5-star. The Empress Volume 7, gave it a 5-star. Remarried Empress Volume 8, 5-star. 2. The only thing, I'll show you the spines. The Remarried Empress Volume 9. The critical point of the story that will get me to the next arc. Okay, so before I go on my rant, let's go on a little tangent of, I think previous volumes did this too, where they're all matchy-matchy. Then you got this, which drives me nuts. Let's talk about this. Navier has been married to the emperor of this kingdom. I think, maybe. Let's see. I'm not. Sorry. I gotta find his name because I'm not gonna say it correctly. I'll say like the... Emperor Soshu, and they've been married and they've been engaged since childhood and married. I think they don't talk about it, but I think they got married when they were like 19 or 18. When they got married, Soshu promised he would not fall into his father's previous traps that emperors before have brought concubines in and things that kind of have destroyed marriages with previous queens. He ends up finding this woman running in the forest, Rashta, and takes her in as a concubine, and basically they harass Navier. She's realizes that he doesn't love her, and she's always been, from the age of a child to an adult woman, to be an empress. That's her whole goal, her whole family. He likes to say she is cold. And his basically relationship with Rashta was, oh, this is so amazing. I have someone who finally understands me, who's innocent and is not cold, who has the warmth. Well, when Rashta gets pregnant, he basically, as it develops, the first chapter in the book 1, even in the prologue, it is the stage of the divorce, and she gets with, he divorces Navier. It's Naveen. I'm bad with names. Well, he tries to deny her marriage with Henry's. He is a king of a different kingdom. So when you start the series, you see that, but when you're reading through the episodes and the chapters, you see the relationship develop with Navier, and you see Shostu, who's never been jealous with Navier, get jealous about other suitors and everything possible. And it's crushing. Like, I remember talking about this last year when I read the volumes, even though I've been reading this off Webtoons, when I got to physically hold up the volume and talk about it, how he talked about her, who's been his childhood friend, companion, and lover, but she was groomed to be this strong empress. It was awful. It, like, literally destroyed me. Excuse me. I think I burped, but I don't know if you heard. And I'm not going to refilm all that because it's been 22 minutes. So, sorry. Excuse me. I think, honestly, I've been so committed to this series. There is not a volume 10 that I can pre-order. I'm excited to see where we go. This is translated manga series, but there are books in Japan of this series, but they have been translating books into light novellas. They haven't with this. They've only done the manga. I love this series, and they're all 5 stars. Everyone I have read of this one alone has been 5 stars. Some of the others I'm like, no, this one will be a 5, this one will be a 4. I'm highly invested in Navier's story and the outcome. So this is the second update, which has probably been the longest update because it was a very good chunk of this wrap up. I'm going to decide if I'm not going to end this until the end of February. I know I said I was going to make this a 3-month video. I don't think it's realistic. I mean, I didn't want to do 12 parts for Bookmas and be like, oh, this was the books I meant. Maybe 2 months might be, because otherwise these will be really big videos. So I will talk to you in the next, I think I'll wrap up what I read, kind of like small little repetitive things to make this shorter, but I think I'll wrap this up at the end of February, and then we will talk about stats and how many pages I've read in the first 2 months of the year. So I will talk to you a bit later, hopefully, by the end of the month. So I am back with the last update of this wrap up of March, and March begins in 2 days, of January and February. In total, I have read 21 things, most of it manga. Let me wrap up the rest. So I read The Dragon Knights Beloved Volume 1, 2, and 3, and I gave them 4 stars. Melissa is a maid in training at the royal castle where her greatest day is caring for the majestic steeds of the royal dragon knights. Her coming of age ceremony, they need to decide, and hold on. Her coming of age ceremony is fast approaching, and with it comes the need to decide what path is her future. Her future will take Melissa. Shares a special bond of friendship with the commander Hubert, the handsome knight who rides the mightiest of dragons, but their relationship is about to get complicated when, newly returned from a dangerous mission, Hubert makes a shocking request. Would Melissa pretend to be his lover and move to his country estate where his wild dragons roam? He asked Melissa to move there because his brother's dead fiance wants to be the lady of the estate, and the dragons hate her, and there's complications, twists and turns. It was cute. I read it, I think, a long time ago before Goodreads, and when I saw a sale for the first 3 volumes, I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would. I don't feel the urge to continue. Like, it was cute. I might continue if they have some more sales with the series. Very cute. Overall, a good time. Very quick. I read those within an hour. Wasn't even 2. Then I read Frieren Beyond the Journey's End, Volume 12, and I gave it a 5-star. Frieren is a beloved series. Frieren basically is an elf, and she has lived a very long time, hasn't interacted with humans until she goes on a quest with the hero, Himmel, and Eisen, and the priest, Hyder, I believe his name's Hyder. Hyder might be the dwarf. I don't know. I remember Himmel. I think Eisen is the priest. And they go on a journey to defeat the Demon King. At the volume 1, you're starting when the journey ends. And Frieren continues on from their 10-year journey, traveling alone, discovering new magic until she keeps a promise to Himmel and the group and returns for a festival to take them to a beautiful spot. And then Himmel passes away. And she realizes for the first time how short a human's life is. And it's her journey to get closer to humans and learn more about Himmel and interactions in the past with Himmel, and she relives it with her. Then she goes on the journey again with an apprentice and discovering new things. I absolutely love Frieren. I'm gonna have to say my favorite volume is volume 11, and I read that I think at the end of last year, and even like talking about it and remembering it, it made me cry, and it was so good that I'm so excited. Hopefully volume 13 gets published this year. I would really adore it. It's going to like my top 10, and my top 1 is Naruto, and I will have to say Frieren The Journey Beyond is slot 2, and Sailor Moon is slot 3 for sure. But I don't know. Lou, did I break you? So overall, I wanted volume 13. I do think when the series is completed, I want to do a binge where I read them all and maybe make a vlog. I think that'd be really fun. So I read Frieren Before the Night's Beloved, and that is the last I'm gonna read in February, because February ends tomorrow and I'll be at work, and I really have not felt like picking up anything. I am in the middle of a big book. I'm slowly taking my time at going down. It's like over 600 pages and I'm on close to 300, so slowly but surely that book hopefully will be done in the next wrap up for Bookmas. I think this is day 2. It would make sense if this was day 2. If not, hopefully you've enjoyed this wrap up if you watched it all the way through. Now I did the math, and I've read a total of 3,563 pages in these last 2 months. A lot of it was manga. And I'm planning to change that in March and April, to the point, in March I'm not allowed to read a manga. Manga is easy and I'll pick it up a lot quicker, especially if I'm not feeling it. I have purchased so many books over the last 3 years, and even Kindle books and audiobooks, they need to be read down. So we're going to take a pause on manga for the next month and go from there and see how many physical and digital reads I can get through. Hopefully your first 2 sorry, I'm so tired. Hopefully your first 2 months of the year in 2025 was really good. Let me know below what was your favorite one for January and February. My favorite was Suit Armor Volume 1 and the Remarried Empress volumes that I read earlier and I talked about. So those were my 2 favorites, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what could be March and April's favorites. So I will see you tomorrow for day 3 of Bookmas, and I'm planning to do some pre-recorded vlogs of me reading Christmas books throughout the year. I don't know which ones I'll select for that video, but I have some that I'd like to get to, so we will see. And hopefully you enjoyed this. Please like and comment, and I will see you tomorrow.